every step forward, there's kind of like a pushback, and it's the steps toward liberation, it's the steps toward health, and the minute it's seen, it feels like there's this effort to push it back, and you two are building a movement. So I'm like, I think you're on the front lines of this, and I ask this question every time: what else can we do to get people to understand that you are doing something that is of such phenomenal importance that we all can help, to kind of push back a little bit, because you're putting yourselves on the line.
No, right, and I think we have to continue to have conversations like this. We have to go into rooms where people are not aware of things like this. Talking about sex, talking about sexuality, talking about your body is frowned upon. It's not ladylike. I don't mean that really, but that's what we hear, right, as women. And I think, giving ourselves permission to be able to talk about these things and to hone in on our true divine and what we want, I think is what's important. And so for me, it's getting the information out. It's starting in community. Mm-hmm. And for me, community looks like prisons, looks like shelters, looks like places where there are women who are eager to learn. Often we don't hear these, we don't know, we put things in the trash, we're told not to talk about it, but the more that people are enlightened, the more they are liberated. And so I just want to continue to get the information out. And so any room that we can come into, any space that we can come into to share the information, it then gives a person a choice. People need to be educated. And if there's research to back something up, there are people that actually have experienced this that know that it works. And if you're looking for something that is a healthy way to practice in your life, you should have the information. And for me, I just want to be able to talk more about it, open up the floor for my friends and people who look up to me. Because when you have people that trust you and believe you, and I have gained a lot of trust in the last 9 years post my incarceration and doing this work, then I bring something to people that they know, they see me. They can see my liberation, if you will, over the time. I even often laugh at how I was when I first came home to where I've evolved to now. And all of that is being able to really just own my own power.
Thank you for doing that.
No, sure. Yeah, gotta do what you gotta do.
Nicole, it's like they took you down for that. And it's just like when there's success and people can see it, the threat is also seen. And that's where I think, the idea of you two getting women together it's brutally important right now, especially post Me Too, which kind of just disenfranchised women, like women disenfranchising women. And I'm kind of curious to get your take on all that. I mean, I know, Nicole, you really kind of followed a lot of this, and so you knew the Me Too movement was going to be worse for women before we even were calling it Me Too.
Yeah,
you saw that coming, and I'm kind of fascinated by your take on this, because you just intuitively knew, they're taking us down the wrong road.
I knew. Well, so what I want to say is, although I would be happy to have it not be me.
Okay, we can come back to that later.
No.
Like
but I would be happy to not be proof of concept.
Right. Sorry about that.
OM can give you enough stability, a ground of joy and resilience that you can make it through incredible duress. But I think that's part of why it happened. I think prior, it's easy to say, she's this businesswoman. What is that term? I can never get it right. Boss, bitch, whatever that new thing is. But then the world did see me go down. And then they saw that I had the capacity to stay with it, stay happy. That's the thing, really. And I don't mean like happy. I'm not that. Trust me. I'm Sicilian. I never was that. I never will be that. But I operate from a foundation of joy, no matter what.
Yeah.
No matter what. And that's why we have the Unconditional Freedom Project. I am unconditionally free, and as a result of my practices, and my wonderful mentors and friends and community. But I want to go back to, you said, what can we do? I just so happen to have written a book on this. No, but I did. I wrote a book, Erotic Justice, on this, because I think we're just we're just so upside down in terms of our ideas of social justice and divine justice, and they're separate. And when you separate those things, they get damaging. You know, you lose something. But you know, I was on the front lines. I tend to be a frontline person, apparently. During the time of HIV, I lived in San Francisco. My best friend was gay. My whole community, I dated a woman. That was my world as we saw, you know, this horrific Black plague entering. And this is what we saw, and this is why I think I went through that. I learned a few things. One is silence equals death. And so that was put in me very early on. But this is what I saw. There were so many factions, and there were like the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, there were the leather guys, there were the dykes on bikes, there were the the lipstick lesbians. There were all of these communities, and they were factions, and everyone thought they were better or worse than the others, and it was totally divided. And then all of a sudden, enter an enemy bigger than each other. And when that happened, all of a sudden, we were forced to forget the ridiculous illusion of separation in order to come together for something that was deeper and more important and more meaningful. And when that happened, I remember understanding, I had heard this quote, liberals circle the wagons and aim in, and conservatives circle the wagons and aim out, as to why conservatives have more power in the world. And that we had been spending all of our energy and all of our time infighting with each other, and as a result, we had taken ourselves down. And that the single element that changed that war was the understanding of unity. And I feel like, I have been saying for a long time, you guys, there's a war on sex, and that war on sex is a war on women. It hasn't been a message that caught on, but it will, because it's true. And that when women, our sexuality has been colonized in such a way that it has been appropriated for purposes of that aren't beneficial to women or the world. And that's what I'll add. It's not. I'm not. When you've been an activist long enough, and you learn that you're not against anything. You're for something. And so I'm for all of us healing. And the only way that can happen is if we take back what was intended to be ours, because we are the ones who know how to steer this in such a way that it's for the benefit of all.